All right, we can start with the Browns because this is the story that was happening on Sunday, and I feel I had some when the clock hit zero on Sunday around 7 p.m. I knew there were going to be some thoughts, particularly from you, Mitch, and I know we're going to get into a discussion which we have to recap about the Browns nearly pulling one out again, nearly being the key word. A loss to the Seattle Seahawks drops them to 4-3 on the season. Didn't look that way to start out. It looked like it was going to be a boat race from Seattle after scoring back to back on the opening two drives. But then the Browns settled down. They had a good game plan. They stifled Seattle for much of the second half. But I wrote this in a thing the other day. In a game of inches, I think it was Vince Lombardi who said that the football is a game of inches. They had 36 of them left from likely not for sure, but likely potentially icing the game on that 3rd and 3, which came around the 2-minute warning. If they had passed or ran, the clock would have stopped either way. They decided to go back to the pass and try to ice the game. Walker tried to go back to his top receiver, and then it bounced off a helmet, went into a guy's hands. Seattle went back and scored a touchdown. Browns couldn't respond. To be honest with you, I'm not upset at the play call. And I know that there are people, ironically, in Seattle uh who are going to be upset at that play because you're not putting it into your starting quarterback's hands per se. You're putting it at risk by putting the ball in the air. My thing is, you still had the potential to do two things. Number one, you still had the potential to lose the ball at that part of the field because if you, let's say, ran the ball on that play with Kareem Hunt or whoever was in action. I mean, Kareem Hunt didn't get any action at all in the fourth quarter, and he talked about it after the game. You could still fumble there, and I understand an interception is more likely than a fumble there, but I'm saying that there's still the potential for that to happen. Number two, if you don't get that first down, this is maybe the thing I was a little frustrated with. You could have punted the ball back, placed them back well within the 20-yard line. Instead, you have them around midfield, and it's easier for them to get down the field and score. And the defense, I think, the defense unfortunately sold on that final drive where I don't know what it is. These past couple of weeks they've been getting burned on like these late drives on the passing game. We saw it against San Francisco. We saw it here. But yeah, I'm not particularly upset. I understood what they're trying to do. They're trying to end the game. They're trying to go back to what they thought was working. They had a couple plays there where they just weren't getting things going. It wasn't like it was 4th and inches. It was fourth and kind of a distant 3. I have a feeling though that I know what you're about to say. Go ahead. Floor's yours.
Forwards, forwards, run the damn ball.
I knew it.
That's all. That's all. Okay. Kevin, you called a good game. You still suck as a head coach. Simple as that. I think there's a difference between trusting your quarterback and then also trusting now who the worst rated passer is in the entire NFL in PJ Walker. Lowest completion percentage, more turnovers and touchdowns. He's an XFL MVP.
He's not. I
Practice.
looked it up yesterday. He's not. He played next up. He was the
All
passing
right. Well,
leader.
well, cool. That's about the only time he's ever going to lead anything in passing because he's not going to do it in the NFL anytime soon. And then why Kareem Hunt's not on the field, why he's not getting the ball is beyond me. And now I'm starting to wonder if this is a personal thing because last year Kareem Hunt also did not get used as much as we saw back in 2021, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You run the ball, you don't get it, you punt, they have to go 80 plus yards.
Mm-hmm.
What's so hard to understand about that? Why would you put the ball in PJ Walker's hands when he has shown you he doesn't have the ability to hit a guy who's 3 yards in front of him that's wide open because he had a number of passes that hit the ground.
He did.
Just throwing at guys' feet. It's just I don't get it.
I
Game,
think. Yeah.
there's no way we should have lost that game. None.
I don't. First of all, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, we stayed so resilient enough that we came back from 2 touchdowns down early on in the game, but I'm thinking to myself too. I lost my thought for a second. I'm trying to get it back. Essentially, I'm saying that the call, like I understand the frustration in wanting to keep the ball on the ground. Maybe give it to a guy that you've been able to trust in the past. I think what it is too is that because I think PJ looked more comfortable in this game than he did in the previous two ones against San Francisco and Indianapolis. This
Well,
is
Indy, he didn't get to practice.
no, that's the thing. And because of that, I think he gets us. He knew he was going to get the start this week. He was prepared. He was able to break off a couple of big runs. Was able to get out of the pocket more. Still had some issues early on where he had that strip sack fumble, which now gives the Browns a league high in giveaways. I think it was around 17 yesterday. I don't know how many the Raiders had last night. They were number 2. But yeah, I understand it's frustrating, but I don't look at it as the Browns losing or giving away that game. I look at it as Seattle taking the opportunity and capitalizing on it. I mean, the Browns could have made that last defensive stop and we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it, but they didn't. So they just need to regroup. They need to get this defense, which has been, I don't know what it is. They're league worst right now in average opponents points per game in the first quarter, 7.4. And in the last 3 games, it's over 12. So teams are striking fast against this Browns defense. I don't know why. Maybe they just have really good game plans to start out, but I think my focus is more on that than it is a chance play call at the end. Look, that's the worst possible thing that could have happened on that particular play. I guess second worst if you want to say, oh, pick 6, but that's one of the
No,
things
because
where I'm like, it just happens.
pick 6, you get the ball back with a little more time than you got to begin with.
That's true.
Like, I would have rather given up pick 6. It's just Kevin Stefanski thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and he thinks he has to prove it consistently. And he's been able to showcase that now since he's been head coach of the Cleveland Browns in 2020. All right, maybe not in 2020 when he was coach of the year, but last year, the Atlanta Falcons, a game the Browns should have never lost, a game they made no adjustments. But what did he do? Oh, analytics say to go for it. Analytics say to do this, that. Well, your analytics don't take into account you have the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. Okay, I don't care what you see in practice. I have eyes too. You have eyes. Anybody out there watching this right now, you have eyes, or else you wouldn't be watching it. We can all see that PJ Walker is a practice squad quarterback. I give him all the credit in the world. He has stepped in. He has performed pretty well, given the circumstances. That is the last man I want touching the football with a game in the line. Okay. Now, I'm not saying I want Deshaun Watson because that dude, I don't even know if he's better than PJ Walker right now. He's garbage.
I
Deshaun
mean,
Watson is irrelevant right now for the Cleveland Browns, and he should stay that way until he gets it figured out. I'm sick and tired, though, of wasting all the talent on this team, specifically the defense. And the defense is allowing the most. They're somewhere in the top of the most big plays in the NFL.
yeah.
They got to get that figured out. Now, they play Arizona this week. We can't lose to Arizona, right? We shouldn't lose to Arizona.
I would expect them to win. Here's the thing. Yesterday, right after Arizona's loss to the Baltimore Ravens, Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Cardinals, said Josh Dobbs is going to start next week. Kyler Murray's not going to be a starter, or Sunday, excuse me. But Monday, I believe in the early evening, Gannon came back and said, "Oh no, we're going to bench Dobbs this week. It's either going to be Clayton Tune, who we just called up from the practice squad, 5th-round rookie, or Kyler Murray. Those 2 guys are more likely. It's going to be one of those 2 guys and not Josh Dobbs." And they changed course after a film study. That was weird. I don't know what happened there, because when I heard that Dobbs was going to start, I'm like, oh, okay, well, clearly Arizona's tanking. It's official now, because you're not going to bring in your top quarterback back against the Browns in this sort of case if you're 1-7 right now and just trying to play for Caleb Williams next year or whoever you want to go get. I don't know what happened here. I don't know why. I mean, did someone get in his ear? He says it was a film study, so maybe that was the case, but it feels weird to just what do they see exactly in this film that made them think we cannot, you know what it is too? Former team. They're going to know how to scout him. Maybe.
That too. I think you can also look at the Colts film and realize that a more agile, quick quarterback that can run was difficult for the Browns to stop. I mean, Gardner Minshew had the best game of the year for him so far. We're gonna lose to Arizona because Kyler Murray's coming back, and
You
I've
don't
talked so
know
much
that.
crap
You don't know that,
about him.
man. You do this. You do this. You panic. You hit the panic button when you have
No, no,
losses
this
like
is it.
this to the
This is
Browns.
it, though. This is it.
Okay,
I've talked
if they
so much
lose the
crap
season,
on
if they
Kyler
lose the
Murray.
season's over. If they lose, the season's over because the Bengals are coming back. The Steelers are, even though they lost yesterday, even when Kenny Pickett went out of this game, I'm like, they're gonna find the way to win this game like 15-9, and it's gonna look hideous. And then when George Kittle had that vaulting over the two guys for a touchdown, I'm like, he is an issue, which he'll be an issue here in a couple weeks when we have back-to-back divisional matchups against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And then
Yeah,
Baltimore's running away with this division. That offense looks good.
Baltimore looks like the best team in the AFC right now.
It's it's between them. I mean, Kansas City. I know what I don't know what happened yesterday in Denver or Sunday in Denver, but you could make a case. I don't know if you're going to be like, oh, they're the best runaway team, because this year doesn't have like a runaway team for me per se right now, even though we're only
Right,
halfway in
but
the season. But yeah,
right now they're the best team in the AFC though. In
they
terms of
haven't
what they've
had
done so
they haven't
far.
had an embarrassing game. I know the Pittsburgh game was tough for them because they kind of sold that game as well, but there hasn't been one where it's like, oh, they dropped the ball there. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just the Browns are going to waste this defense
I,
this year.
I'm gonna tell
And we,
because I think with Schwartz under it, it's good for a considerable amount of time going forward. It's mainly if the rest of that coaching staff remains intact, and maybe a coach will want to bring back Schwartz. Time will tell. I mean, it, I'm hoping it's not going to be the case, but it's been a tricky time this year. You don't have your running back, you don't have your quarterback, you have guys, popping in and out of injury. I mean, how many guys went down yesterday with potential injuries that we're gonna have to hear about later on this week? And there were guys who stepped up yesterday. Maurice Hurst had that amazing big man interception, maybe the most athletic one I've ever seen. Who was it? I think MJ Emerson had one as well. MJ Emerson's still budding as a very good defensive prospect, but we're filming on the trade deadline today, and by the time this gets out, I don't know if the trade deadline is going to pass, but it's going to be interesting to see if they try to make any moves, try to go get another receiver. Cedric Tillman hasn't had a lot of action this year. Donovan Peoples-Jones hasn't been involved much in the offense. No David
mind-boggling.
Bell. I mean, no, not much of it there as well. Amari Cooper is getting his touches, which is good. I don't know. I
Do
don't
they trade?
expect them to make any big moves.
Well, never mind. I guess you don't think they're going to trade for a
Well, I
running
mean,
back.
because they don't have capital. But if you have an idea, then I'd love to hear it.
Do they trade for a running back or a quarterback today?
No, here's the thing. I thought for the last few weeks, I thought, oh, what if we just go get back Jacoby Brissett from Washington? Because Sam Howell just scored 4 touchdowns against the Eagles. You're thinking, oh, Washington's got this. They can work with him for the rest of the year. I think bringing back Jacoby would. I know he was with the team last year, but I was talking with someone yesterday. Walker kind of fits more like a Deshaun Jr. in this offense, and it would probably be easier to just ride him out for the rest of the time necessary instead of having to bring in a guy who, even though he was with the team last year, you still have to get accustomed to what's been going on in the playbook this season, and that could kind of throw off the dynamics of the teams. I'm hoping that's not the case. Because we brought Kareem Hunt back, who wasn't even on an NFL roster week one. I'm hoping that could be a case, but I don't feel like we would have enough for Washington to be like, yeah, go ahead and take Jacoby off our hands. We're good. And with running backs, I don't really feel like as much as I like Derrick Henry, I don't know if we need to rent him for 9 weeks out of the year. Is that worth it? It's not. I don't feel like it's worth it, and I don't know if Tennessee's
Well,
willing to give him up.
I guess. I guess it wouldn't be worth it because on 3rd and 3, we'd probably still throw the football instead of giving it to Derrick Henry. But I mean, we're not using Donovan Peoples-Jones, so expiring contract. Tennessee wants to start rebuilding.
Well, yeah,
And that like a 4th round pick for Derrick Henry. Boom.
and
Now Will Levis has another guy to throw to besides DeAndre Hopkins and Traylon
yeah,
Burke. So I don't know.
I can't imagine that they make a major move today. The one because I'm a big believer in momentum, and I understand that they're coming off a loss, but I don't want them to feel like they have to throw away half the team in order to try and make this playoff push in a tough division in a tough AFC. So I don't know.
Oh, stupid Browns.
Look, it's gonna be okay. We got a whole week to figure this out against the Cardinals, the 1-7 Cardinals. The only reason they're 1-7 because Dallas is Dallas occasionally, and they didn't do what they had to do. They did
Just
what they had
warning
to
you
do
now.
against the Rams this week, but they just
We're,
whatever. All
we're
right,
gonna lose.